diabetic patients. Okay. And so I was just like, hey, listen, like you're gonna put an IO in somebody that's now gonna be woke up, and you may even just leave them there on scene, right? So why not go with a vascular access, an IV access, and everybody's just like, oh, I'm not gonna go with the EJ. It's like an EJ is exactly like a regular IV. Okay, it's very simple, very easy to do. So so what we'll do is have somebody hop up here.
I'll go.
Oh.
Show your EJ. Volunteer my EJ.
All right, come on up. Everybody, come on up. Yes.
Ooh, I want to touch Mark's EJ. No, don't put your hair up.
Yes, put your hair
I
up.
gave you an opportunity, man.
Hello. How are you?
And tuck your collar down too.
Thanks. Oh, geez. Yay. Okay, so EJs are very hard to do with C-spine precautions in effect. Okay, because like right now, like Mark is actually a very easy one.
So juicy.
You can see here. Take a look at Mark. Right. So Mark already has one that's already here. Right. So most of the time, what we'll do is we'll take the person's head. This is majority of the time these are your heroin overdoses, something like that, where it's like they've used up all their veins. People are trying IVs in the foot. But the thing is most heroin junkies aren't a big fan of sticking stuff in their neck, right? It's a lot harder to see. They can't see it, the angle, and so it's very, very common for EJ to be available. So what you do is you just take the head, turn it to the side, and where did it go? Oh, son of a.
You still see.
Right? So you can still kind of see it here, right? And so we'll turn it back there. Oh, there it goes. It pops back up. All right. So right about.
So juicy.
So see about right there, you can kind of see how it goes. Yes, go ahead, touch it.
Everybody can touch me.
Coming in hot.
Oh, we're gonna go this way. Oh,
Tiger's
there.
mouth.
So you can see that right there. See that big old ring? So a lot of times they're about the size of a pinky, so they're very, very large. So you can actually get 14 and 16 gauges, which is what color, Janae?
What? Sorry. I was feeling his.
14, 16 gauges are what colors?
Yeah. Would you let me? I was going to say. You just said it.
What?
Gray and yellow.
What's yellow? What's yellow?
Yep. Wait, no. I'm sorry. 14's orange. 14's orange. 16's no. 14's orange. 16's gray. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was distracted.
That's okay. I was ready to drop out of the class and just. Okay. So you can get.
I don't know why.
So you can get very large needles in there. Okay. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll turn the person's head all the way over, and for people that don't pop up like what marks do, that are kind of hard to find, you'll take the kind of corner of the jaw here, the angle of the jaw, and then you'll find kind of mid clavicle. Okay. And then you'll draw a straight line straight through here, okay? From here to here. And what that does is that'll give you a general idea on where to start palpating to try and feel. Most of the time, if you just come in here and start pushing on the neck, and try not to look when you're doing it, because you'll feel it a lot sooner, because you'll be pushing and be like, ooh, that feels, it's like, oh yeah, that's it. It's like, oh wait. That's like his muscle and tendons and stuff. It's like, oh, now he's flexing. Oh. All right. And so you find your mark, find your where you're gonna go.
Find your mark.
Your mark. We found Mark. Okay. And so sometimes you can even, if you give it a little tap, it'll irritate it enough. Like I'm not a huge fan of watching people slap people on the hands trying to get veins to stand up and do that kind of stuff. But this is one of those veins that if you irritate it enough, it'll start to poke up a little bit. Okay. So you find your vein here. Okay. So we got our vein. So then when you have your catheter, I'm gonna borrow this as your catheter. Okay.
Push the clip forward.
Nope. I didn't want it sticking out. And so when you go to do this, so you just hold tension like that, so you can see what happened as soon as I did that. Yep, that's exactly it. And you can push on it.
You can see it.
Can you see that? Can you see that way up there?
Yeah. It dances.
When you pulled
So
back,
so
it popped out?
so it popped right up. So now we're looking right with the corner of our jaw, and and now it's lining up perfectly, okay? So now I pulled my traction, do that, you can see the vein actually moving. Okay? So then when you go to do it, you're going towards the heart with the needle, okay? So you just pull back on the tension, you've swabbed it, you've done all that stuff. You go in there, and a lot of times what happens is as you go in, if you're not pulling that tension, this soft skin will move on you like that, right? So you want to make sure, a lot of times what'll happen, you get through the skin first, pause, kind of reset yourself, feel where the vein is, pull that traction again, and then advance, okay? Sometimes if you're really good, you can just pull your traction, hold it, and just get it all in one shot, okay? But I watch a lot of people get through the skin first because they're not pulling good traction initially, okay? Obviously, you don't want to be putting pressure on his carotid the entire time, right? Or holding him like this while you're trying to do
You're
it.
gonna put a tourniquet on his neck?
Yeah.
No tourniquet is needed, Cody. No tourniquet is needed, okay? So the other thing is, so once you get this to here, right, and you advance your catheter in, one of the important things that you got to be concerned about is air embolisms, okay? Because we're putting big catheters in, right? Is this a larger vessel that's moving more blood? Does anybody know what the Venturi effect is? Anybody not? Mark. All right, cool. So when you have fluid that's passing by an opening that's open to the atmosphere, right? It's moving. It starts to create a vacuum on your catheter here. So what that does is that can start to suck air, right? So as you occlude, you want to make sure you hold very good occlusion. Hold that, making sure you're not to get that Venturi effect happen. Make your connection. It's going to be hard to occlude. There's going to be blood. It's good to have blood pumping out because that means you got blood coming this way. And not, right? When you make that initial flash, it's going to immediately fill your entire flash chamber up immediately. It's just whoosh, and
There
it's
is a
full.
flash.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Not always though.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
So depending on the pressure and how big of a vein it is, it's either going to fill it right up or you're going to get a little bit of a flash, and then you're going to be like, well, and then you'll do this little thing where you'll kind of turn your thing from side to side, and you're turning the vein. You're like, all right, I'm in. And it's like, okay.
Oh, the one we had in the ER, we never got flash. It never came up the pigtail, and we put a syringe on the back, and then we got flash.
You had to put the pressure on it. Yeah. So.
Do they have really low blood pressure?
Or a valve issue. Valve there.
I don't think it was really low blood pressure. He just had shit veins. And,
Did you just say a valve?
Nope, I didn't say that at all.
Oh,
This is
it's-
not at all what I
it's
said.
recorded, sorry.
Yes.
Just like my yellow comment on accident.
Yeah. It's all
That was
over.
an accident.
Yellow's a
You said
14.
yours on purpose.
Yeah, yellow's a 14, yeah. So what color, what is a yellow? Do we know?
24.
Oh, still got the 4 in there, I guess. I guess that would make some sense.
Also, Dustin said yellow.
No,
You did.
Okay, so,
they only
so once you
said
tape it down here,
orange,
so what's a concern once you give this person any sort of medications via this?
It's gonna go straight to their heart, isn't it? Or straight to their brain?
Which direction am I going?
Towards their heart.
Okay, so medication's going this way, right? So what happens if I'm going with D50 on this? It's a large vessel.
right, but it's going into the heart, and D50 is
Pump it
necrotic,
really,
and
really,
so.
really
Okay, so this is
we
where you're
just
gonna wanna
wanna-
dilute as you're giving your D50, okay? Narcan, you can give it, it'll do its thing, right? The D50, just like we were talking yesterday, as you're giving it, you give a little bit, you draw back. You give a little bit, draw back, because you're maintaining and double checking to ensure that the vessel is handling it and you're not infiltrating as you're giving it, right? So that's why it's like, what I like to do is I like to give a quick rapid push of saline when I'm gonna give D50, because then if you go, like anybody can push and not cause an infiltration if you're actually still infiltrated, but if you give a big old rapid push, you're gonna see an instantaneous swell on it, right? And so then that's gonna tell you, okay, yep, you have a good vein or you don't have a good vein. And so that's just one of my little things that I use when I'm gonna give D50, just as a double check that that vein is gonna maintain it, okay?
Is a taxiderm enough to hold it?
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Tegaderm.
As long as the person, tegaderm, sorry.
I was like,
Opposite.
taxiderm.
We're gonna fill him with.
Taxidermy, sorry buddy.
You're so smart. What is that?
Oh, we got something new. So once this person wakes up, right? Say this is a heroin OD. Now what? What's gonna happen?
He's gonna
They're gonna
love
think
that.
he's
next
gonna-
time.
Wonder what the hell that is.
They're gonna be super stoked that this is in their
Yeah.
neck, right? So what are they gonna try and do?
Direct line.
So
needle.
This is where.
I would tell him,
so-
don't worry, we'll give you drugs later through it.
Yes, Tegaderms are good to get the stuff going, but I'm gonna make sure that I have some extra tape on it, and I'll probably even use some of the big 3-inch tape, and I'll basically go from here to here and cover the entire thing up, right? And just have my little port sticking out the very top, because then if you got that part sealed, they don't have that little bump to kind of grab onto and pull, then you have that, they have to get that whole piece of tape off, which buys you a little bit of time to grab their hands to prevent them from grabbing those.
That was not right.
Okay? All right, so questions on that? It's just like starting an IV, okay? It's a humongous vein.
So we were saying that this would be considered IV first, then this, and then IO. Or
Yes.
for glucose, it would be IV, EJ, glucagon, and then IO.
Yeah. IO is gonna be my last thing.
Glucagon
All the
first,
time?
because it
Yeah.
takes 10 to 15
Yeah,
minutes.
it's gonna take a little while.
Yeah, but you would, before you give an IO.
In a diabetic patient, because most of the time diabetics, I'll be honest, majority of the time we don't transport low blood sugars. It's a disease that these people have had, they've been through it a bunch, and even the people that you want to take, which are which type of diabetics?
Type 2, type 2.
Because
It's hard to treat.
No, it's changed.
Because they're gonna,
because there's something has changed,
Changed.
right? In the condition that their medications are no longer
If
maintaining.
you can't find a change, then you have an issue.
Correct. Yeah. So if they say, "Hey, I've been sick and I haven't been able to take my meds," okay, cool.
Cool.
We'll get you. I'm okay leaving that
Yeah.
person.
I haven't been sick, nothing's different, but now my blood sugar's bad. Oh, we need to figure out why.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Questions?
definitely not gonna be watching this video.